departments. We have never worked so great together as far as communicating and setting and reaching our goals together for the best interest of the town. I want to recognize how down to earth his management style is, that he really listened to the needs of the departments. He also listened to the needs of the community, and he brought those together to think about better ways to serve this town that we provide those services for. Last, I just want to thank him for challenging everyone in our organization to be better at what we do, challenging me to be a better manager in the organization, and I do wish you the best. I wish your family the best, and you'll be an asset wherever you go. So, thank you.
Next up, we have Mr. Steve Trotman.
Mayor Webb, council members, Steve Trotman, 224 Mason Place, Abingdon, and also employee of the town of Abingdon. I'd like to echo what Ms. Johnson just shared. I too am very grateful for the opportunity that I've had to work with Ms. Morani. I appreciate what he has been through. Whenever you come into an organization with a fresh set of eyes and a history of experience, recognizing that changes need to be made, those changes can be very, very hard. If I've heard it once, I've heard it 1,000 times during my short tenure here. Well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But what I've soon discovered, and I think Mr. Morani has discovered as well, that just because you think something isn't broken doesn't mean that it isn't. Particularly if you've been doing things the same way for decades, and you think, well, it was broken then, but we've learned to get around, and so therefore it's no longer broken and we don't need to try to fix it. Mr. Morani recognized that the interdepartmental communications in many cases were broken, and he did open those lines of communication. He has opened the lines of communication with the community as well, and it's very unfortunate, and quite frankly, it's disheartening to me as a relatively new resident to the town of Abingdon to see, as not to coin a phrase, but one that we've heard many decades ago, the nattering nabobs of negativism, because that's what we've seen over the last several months. And Mr. Morani has stood up to that with grace and steadfastness, and for that I appreciate it. And Jimmy, I'm going to miss you. I wish you well. I hope you stay in the area. That's all I have to say for now. Thank you.
Next up, we have Mr. Richard Morgan.
I've got a new knee for Christmas, so I can take the thumb out.
Take your time. You're fine.
Thank you. My name is Richard Morgan. I live at 171 Valley Street. Lately, I've been concerned about the direction of the town. However, I've changed my mind since last meeting and last Monday, and I have some great hopes. Recently, the town manager arbitrarily and without council approval had the banner poles removed from Cummings Street. The banners were a great service to the citizens of Abingdon and a warm welcome to visitors to town, as it informed us of coming events and programs, and many people responded. The action was not consistent with facts and reality that justified the action. I recommend that at an appropriate time during this meeting, one of you council people make a motion, bring back the banners. And I am sure our attorney can find a way to make it happen. On another area, the town is now requiring the Veterans Memorial Park Foundation to pay fees to conduct memorial programs for Memorial Day and Veterans Day, national holidays. We're charging for national holidays? That's unusual. These are national celebrations, and the town should be proud that the foundation organizes these major events. Don't require permits and fees for them to put on something that's so important. The town manager ill-advised the council to create a veterans committee. It's unnecessary. As somebody recently said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The Memorial Park Foundation coordinates with all veterans groups and all activities related to our veterans, and has over time of 18 years invested nearly $500,000 in the monuments and structures at the park that honor our fallen heroes. The memorial trees planted in honor of our veterans is really unique among veteran facilities in America. I am so proud that I have a tree out there for my father, who spent 25 years in military service. It really is something we can be proud of, and a lot of people look to Abingdon and say, wow, look what they do for the veterans. I think it's unnecessary that we have a committee that does what the Veterans Board does best, manage the park. Let the town do what it does best, continue to mow the grass and plant the trees, and allow this organization with 18 years of service to continue helping the town. Thank you very much.
Next up, we have Mr. Robert Saunders.
Robert Saunders, 15295 Enterprise Road, Abington 24211. I'm here on behalf of the Abington Kiwanis Club. Our members urge the town council to reinstate the Cumming Street banner program, which was discontinued in March of last year. The decision to remove this community service remains remarkably unpopular then as now. Here are the reasons why. Kiwanis, along with other civic organizations, nonprofits, charities, and schools, routinely displayed banners across Cumming Street for years to promote community events. The Cumming Street location provided exceptional visibility, with thousands of cars passing up and down this street daily. Kiwanis depends on advertising to raise funds for children and youth activities in Abington and Washington County. The money we make is distributed to support causes such as County Library's summer reading program, Little League Baseball, the William King Art Museum, and the Barter Theater's youth programs, plus many other athletic, educational, and clothing requests that come to us. Our fundraising success depends on the public's awareness of our upcoming events, such as Plum Alley Day and the Christmas Parade. When the town removed the banner poles from Cumming Street, Kiwanis was not given an opportunity to respond beforehand with an impact statement, nor were we afforded a comparable alternative. We were informed that the removal was necessitated by the threat of outside agitators coming to Abington to promote their political agendas. Specifically mentioned were Black Lives Matter, neo-Nazis, and the National Rifle Association as inherent threats to Abington's tranquility. We were informed that to thwart this possibility, the town decided to take preemptive action by prohibiting all banners across Cumming Street and thus the removal of the support poles. It's been nearly 11 months since the last banner was taken down from Cumming Street, and no sign yet of barbarians at the gate. The banner program was a valuable public service to the community, and then it was abruptly withdrawn for whatever reason. Our Kiwanis members would be appreciative if the mayor and the town council would revisit this regrettable decision. Kiwanis supports the restoration of the banner poles and the display of banners to alert the public of upcoming community events.
Next up, we have Mr. Tim Webb.
Tim Webb, 25177 Watauga Road, here on behalf of the Rotary Club. Mayor and Council, thank you for the opportunity. Not going to repeat everything that Robert said, but I am certainly in favor of the banner poles being put back. Rotary, as well as most all civic organizations, have one general purpose, and that's to raise money to make this a better place to live and a better quality of life for the citizens, and not only locally but around the world. Concentrated here locally, personally, but we do good all around the world. As Robert said, it's the best way to advertise our fundraising events. We have benefited from the banners from outside people on the day of our frolics and riverboat fundraisers, where they saw the banner and attended the event that evening. Otherwise, they would have had no clue that the event was taking place. So we, like the Kiwanis, support a lot of children's programs, the backpack program, which sends food home with children that otherwise may not eat on the weekends. And we all know the effect that has on their ability to learn and concentrate. One of the big projects that you all are aware of, and we're grateful for your work with this, with the Rotary Club, is the new splash pad. I can't even begin to say what effect I think that's going to have, positive effect on our area, accessible to everyone, free of charge. It's very exciting, and we appreciate your work with us on that. But I highly encourage that we reconsider the banner poles so that we can advertise our events and make it more accessible. Thank you very much.
Next up, we have Mr. Walter Jenny.
Mayor and council members, my name is Walter Jenny, 16298 Highlands Log Drive in Abingdon. Abingdon's banner program is part of the charm of this town, a community of active people who support each other. Now that program has been abruptly ended, ostensibly because of a 2015 Supreme Court decision regarding First Amendment rights. That's the Reed decision. The Reed decision did not require Abingdon to remove the banners. Quite the opposite. The Supreme Court clearly said that towns have, quote, ample content-neutral options available, and, quote, may be able to forbid postings on public property so long as it does so in an even-handed, content-neutral manner. Those concepts have been the law for decades. Instead of respecting First Amendment rights, by ending the banner program, the town sought, without a compelling public interest, to preemptively suppress the free speech of Abington citizens whose content was not appreciated. That, by definition, is content-based, the very evil our Constitution prevents. In this case, incredibly, it was the voices of the veterans who put their lives on the line to protect our constitutional rights. It was never abused, and the banners kept the community aware of activities and events that people found interesting and beneficial. This is not rocket science. You've got good legal counsel. You should ask him to draw up a proposed sign code that brings the banners back to Abingdon in a way that respects the constitutional rights of all of our citizens. Thank you.
Next up, we have Mr. Emmett Erie.
Emmett Erie, 171 East Main Street, Abingdon, Virginia. A false narrative by the town management that was been given to the press and the public as to why the town banner poles on Cummings Street were taken down so abruptly on March the 8th, 2021. This program came to an end as a result of a directive by James Morani to John Dew on March the 4th to have the town's engineering firm revise the plat. He stated the town will no longer need access to the banner pole. This was done notwithstanding the fact the town council had voted on March the 1st, just 3 days earlier, to adopt a plat which depicted boundary lines on the Haster House property in such a manner that specifically retained the banner pole and use thereof. To justify this action, Morani came up with a story and by a letter of March the 5th, 2021, told the press and users of this program that a recent Supreme Court decision necessitated a change in this policy, which then ended the Cummings Street banner displays. We later learned that this so-called recent Supreme Court decision was 2015, as Mr. Jennings said, did not in any way, I'm a lawyer also, as he is, would prohibit this tradition that had been going on for over 16 years. Morani's decision to eliminate the program was totally inconsistent with the fact that on March the 1st, just 3 days prior to Morani's directive to Dew, he had the town council vote to approve a plat which specifically reflected the town retaining the area to support the banner pole and access thereto. On March the 9th, Colonel Bradley and I met with Mr. Morani, and when I inquired as to why the banner poles had been removed, he said it was because of a recent Supreme Court decision and his concerns that Black Lives Matter, neo-Nazis, and the National Rifle Association and other such groups might want to display banners. I then learned that the recent Supreme Court decision was in 2015. Now that narrative as to groups that they might be worried about has even included the gay community that might wish to put up a banner. I filed a Freedom of Information Act after that on Friday, March the 19th at 4:45 p.m. On Monday, March the 22nd at 9:06 a.m., Mr. Morani left a message on my voicemail to call him. I did so within minutes. He told me that this Freedom of Information Act was just a waste of taxpayers' money and there was nothing going to change. He did, however, admit that Ms. Tanya Triplett, the assistant town manager, had told him that I had voiced that I might put up a banner to support parking for the Veterans Memorial Park, and that was why the banner poles were removed. His false narrative not only gives us a bad image in general, but also could impact our tourism and could subject this town to possible legal action and the possible loss of federal and state grants for violation of civil rights, among other
I'm going to have
things.
to ask you to just stop. I apologize.
If I can just have 1 second, please.
No.
I'm about to finish. The mayor, Mr. Webb, has said that Morani may have
Emmett.
misunderstood because he was not
Time's up.
from here.
Emmett,
Again, this
we've-
is a slap on the face.
We've been through this before.
All right.
I have to hold everybody to 3 minutes. I
Well,
apologize.
Making excuses for inexcusable is inexcusable. We will soon have an unpleasant chapter of this town behind us. Let's go forward for the good of all. Have open, transparent government, and honest and respectful dialogue. Thank you very much. for
Next
this
up, we've got Mr. John Bradley.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. My name is Colonel John Bradley, and I live at McCrae Drive, Abingdon, Virginia. I was here originally to speak to the behavior of Mr. Morani, but tonight I'm here in gratitude for the action that you took on Mr. Morani's request for retirement last week, and I look forward to returning to a productive Veterans Park board. My family has made Abingdon its home since the 1600s, and Mr. Al Bradley has a end of a long line of Bradleys that have been a servant of Abingdon. And I'd like to think that this would give some credence to my remarks as to the direction of Abingdon that we've seen over the last 2 years. But first, I would like to sincerely apologize to members of the council and to the members, to the mayor, for the comments I made at the Veterans Memorial Day ceremony at 31 May 2021. I was accused of having politicized a beautiful ceremony, unquote, with my observations, and I'm truly sorry if I offended Amanda Pillion and Donna Quest and you, Mayor. It was not appropriate to that venue for such a sober celebration for veteran sacrifices, and I apologize for my insensitivity. However, those remarks are appropriate to this forum, the town council. But I do look forward to Amanda Pillion returning as our representative, your representative, to the Veterans Park Board. My fiance is a good friend of yours, and she sings your praises continually. And I think you're a wasted asset since you missed the last 8 meetings of our organization. We look forward to your return and your activity with the board and our connection to the town council and to you, Donna, especially. I know that your interest in the Veterans Board has been great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now we have Mr. Dwayne Knight.
Good evening, Council. Member, my name is Dwayne Knight. I live at 330 Taylor Street, Abingdon, Virginia. I was born and raised in this town, and it's been a great place. And something I say to Mr. Morani is directly to you. I thank you for your service. I've seen a lot of things happen in this town and a lot of things that needed to be changed, and I thank God for somebody who wasn't afraid to make those changes. And I thank you for doing what you thought was best for this town. And there's lots of leaders. There are very few that will take the steps that you've taken to make the changes that needed to be made. And sadly, sometimes you don't get to see the fruit of your labor until sometime later when you make changes on certain things. I work for a company, I wrote this so I can try to keep it to 3 minutes. I worked for a company that was similar to this town, and there were changes that needed to be made, but nobody was willing to make those changes. And because of it, we went from being the top 20 in the top 20 to the bottom 100, which was 110 out of 135, and that being the worst number. So when the new manager came, he wasn't liked by many people because he made changes. And one of those people that didn't care much for him was me. And I saw later on I was very wrong. All because I didn't see the point of this man making these changes. Everyone seemed to think that he was selfish and had a hidden agenda. Well, let's face it, nobody likes change. So like everyone else, I had the leave well enough alone attitude. And I learned something after he made those changes. I didn't see what he saw was necessary to do. We went from being 110 to the top 10. And that was a very big, drastic change. It didn't happen overnight, but it took time to do that. And all because of his leadership that nobody liked. I say to you, Jimmy, stand strong, be strong, and stand firm, and always hold your head high. And I pray that you get to see the fruits of your labor real soon. Thank you.
Well, that concludes the public comments segment of tonight's agenda. So we'll move on to the approval of the minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes that we need to approve, and if there's no changes to either one of those, I would entertain a motion to approve the January 3rd and January 31st meeting minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Ms. Pillion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Vice Mayor Quetch. Any discussion, council? Hearing none, Kim, if you'll please call the roll.
Mr. Owens?
Aye.
Ms. Pillion?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
And Mayor Webb?
Aye. And tonight, we do have a proclamation. This is a very exciting, in my opinion, proclamation. We are doing a proclamation recognizing Black History Month. February 2022 is Black History Month. And I would like to ask Ms. Pillion to read this proclamation. It's very beautiful. And I think the crowd will enjoy it.
Whereas, this is a proclamation recognizing Black History Month, so it's Black Health and Wellness, I understand, is the theme this year. Whereas Black History Month is observed in February of each year, and whereas Black History Month seeks to highlight Black history and is designed to recognize and pay tribute to the many contributions of Black Americans to the past, society, and culture of the United States of America, and whereas the celebration of Black Americans' contribution to our history began in 1926 with Negro History Week, and each year since 1976, February has been designated Black History Month in our nation, and the President of the United States has proclaimed the month of February to be Black History Month. And whereas the theme for Black History Month 2022 is Black Health and Wellness, to acknowledge the legacy of not only Black scholars and medical practitioners in Western medicine, but also other ways of knowing throughout the African diaspora. And whereas throughout Black history, factors such as slavery, inequality, and poverty had put pressure on maintaining family ties, even when a better life often meant traveling far from home. Now therefore, Derek Webb, the mayor for the town of Abingdon, does hereby proclaim February 2022 as Black History Month in the town of Abingdon, and calls upon our residents to observe this occasion by recognizing the contributions of Black Americans to our society in general and the town of Abingdon in particular.
Thank you, Ms. Pillion, for reading that. And thank you, Kim, for helping me write that. That was very eloquent. Moving along, we don't have any public hearings for tonight. We do have a resolution. This is a resolution adopting the Commitment to Excellence policy for boards, commissions, and committees. Mr. Morani.
Yes, Mayor. This was an item that we were going to have on the work session, but we had to cancel that meeting, so I did distribute it to the council members just in advance a few weeks ago, just so they had time to review it and ask any questions if they had not received any responses. So I just went ahead and moved forward and to place it on the agenda. It's something that Kim spent a lot of time on, and we kind of had this idea that, you know, with a lot of these new boards coming on track, it would be maybe a good opportunity to kind of get a good start on some basically some standards of conduct and things that are kind of no-brainers. There's really nothing in here that's earth-shattering or unconventional. Similar to what a lot of other communities are doing. We took some ideas from what some other communities in Virginia were doing. So it's really your call if you want to discuss this or consider it tonight. That's up to you, but it is in the forum to do that if you so wish to do that. So, and Cam spent some time reviewing it as well and made a few suggestions to it.
So to get everybody on board with where this came from, I think for quite some time now, for probably a year and a half or better, we've been talking about how we could sort of streamline all of the different boards and committees and commissions and give a clear expectation of what we hope to achieve with these committees and boards. Basically, it's really more just to make these boards and committees more successful, so they're firing on all cylinders and everybody knows what's expected and how to contribute to the best of their ability. So I for one, think this is a great document. I've read through it and I appreciate your all's work. It looks very good, Kim, Jimmy, Cam. Council, I'm ready to take action if you all are. If you want to put it off, we can, but I think I'm ready. Having said all that, Cam, any input before we take action?
I don't think so.
Okay. Council, I'd entertain a motion to adopt this resolution.
I'll make a motion to adopt the new resolution.
Motion by Mr. Owens to adopt the resolution to the commitment to excellence for policy for boards, commissions, and committees. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Pillion. Any discussion, council? Hearing none, Kim, if you'll please call the roll.
Mr. Owens?
Aye.
Ms. Pillion?
Aye.
Ms. Swett?
Aye.
And Mayor Webb?
Aye. So we don't have any first readings of ordinances, second readings of ordinances. We don't have any bids to consider that I know of. Don't think we have any new or old business, but we do have a fairly hearty section of miscellaneous business and communications from Mr. Moran.
Yeah, we have a lot to talk about since we didn't have the work session, so I'm going to have Steve come up here. He's going to give a quick update on some new information regarding ARPA. So, Mr. Trotman, if you want to come up.
And I guess I forgot to say that, but our first discussion is going to be regarding ARPA funds. Mr. Trotman.
Mayor Webb, council members, if you'll recall, when y'all had the council retreat last year, we had been notified that we were the recipients of a rather large tranche of money from the U.S. Treasury for the American Rescue Plan Act. The U.S. Treasury had issued some interim final guidance. That's a phrase only the federal government can use, interim final. But the initial guidance gave 4 basic categories of utilization of those funds, one of which was for lost revenue. And the Treasury gave this complicated calculation that we were to use to try to determine what our lost revenue was. And if you were to use that part of the funds, you could use that for government services, pay-as-you-go, capital improvements, things of that nature. But again, you were limited to what you could calculate as being your lost revenue. Initial calculations based on their format showed that the town, with some growth factors that the Treasury built in, was a little over $3 million in lost revenue. So of the $8.1 million, we could use $3 million of that for government services. And then the rest would have to be for negatively impacted industries, tourism, hospitality, things of that nature that the town could engage in, but we would have to justify the use of that. Well, the final guidance was issued on January 6th, just a month ago, and the U.S. Treasury changed the calculation needed for lost revenue. And they went one step further. First of all, when they changed the calculation, they did it on a fiscal year versus a calendar year. They increased the growth rate and all this other. But the biggest change was that they allowed municipalities to take a standard allowance of lost revenue, regardless of your calculation, of $10 million, which means that our $8.1 million in ARPA funds can now be used for government services. We don't have to try to, define or redefine the utilization. So those items that y'all had already identified as being top priorities, because they would have the greatest impact on the residents, they would have the greatest impact on tourism, a great economic and great economic drivers for the town. So this had the biggest impact. You all identified the Virginia Creeper Trail enhancements, which is a safety issue. It's also a huge tourism driver for the town. You had allocated $1.25 million. Completion of the sports complex, again, a huge economic driver. That's going full force, and we'll be seeing the fruits of that in just a couple of months. The Green Spring Road, as well as flood mitigation. So all of those items that you have uncovered or identified early on are still moving forward. But now that we have a lot more flexibility, the remaining funds we can use for immediate needs within those categories, because if you'll recall, we have to have these funds identified and contracted by the end of 2024, and they have to be expended by the end of 2026. And so some of these larger projects may extend beyond that. So we do have the flexibility now to look at, other utilizations within those things. Just to give you an update, to date, you'll recall we received the first tranche of money June 30th, July 1st, the $4 million. We've expended roughly $1.7 million of that thus far, so we have 2.3 left of this, and then we'll get the next batch in end of June, 1st of July. Any questions?
Any questions, council? That's all good news, Steve. I
All
appreciate
right.
it. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate y'all's foresight on identifying those areas, so thank you.
Thank you.
So the next item, I guess, is the discussion regarding the Virginia Creeper Trail Trestle repairs. Mr. Moran.
Yeah, this is just, I wanted to give the council a heads up, and behind the scenes, we've been working, staff, Mike Surratt and Kevin Worley have been working, and Tanya Triplett have been working with me and Cam on developing a, well, there's actually two things that are going on. Everybody knows that there's certain stretch that the town maintains on the Creeper Trail, on the Virginia Creeper Trail. What everybody might not know is that a large portion of that is actually owned by the town of Abingdon and the town of Damascus. And so, as we approach these trestle repairs, which the council has identified as a priority with the ARPA funds, we wanted to make sure we delineated exactly what our responsibilities were on these capital improvements. So after discussing with Cam, we determined it was best to be clear and have an agreement with Damascus that basically states, hey, we both own it. Damascus is going to allow the town of Abingdon to make these improvements with coordination with them. So that way it's just clean and there's a clear understanding of what everybody's role is. Now, we wanted to get this on the agenda tonight because we actually have an RFP out for engineering services to do some of that work. And so the one that's on the agenda tonight, which is number 3, is strictly just relating to the trestle repairs that we've identified as the most pressing. And the first one is Trestle 4, which is the most pressing, which is currently undergoing some initial, there were some initial cost estimates being developed. So that is strictly the scope of what this MOU is, which we're asking you to vote on tonight. Just in Damascus, Mr. Bell has spoken with legal counsel with the town of Damascus. They're okay with it, and they'll be adopting it at their subsequent meeting that they have. I don't know when their next meeting is. So that's really all it is. It's just to make sure that both parties agree, hey, we both own it. The town of Abingdon has access to these dollars. We want to make the investment and put these improvements into the trail. But following that, down the road, there will be a more expansive MOU dealing with the entire maintenance of the trail. So there's just a clear understanding, here's the town's responsibilities, here's the town of Abingdon's responsibilities, here's the town of Damascus' responsibilities. Tonight, we're just strictly addressing the trestle repairs because of the immediate need to get that project moving forward with the ARPA funds. But I'm just basically, as a precursor, just telling everybody it will be coming down the road. In fact, I think we've got a draft of it already, and we'll probably bring it forth at an upcoming meeting, just so we can discuss it. And that one will probably take a little bit more time. We'll want to vet it a little bit more, but this was pretty straightforward. So does anybody have any questions? Everybody understand what it is we're trying to do? Okay. Okay, so basically the number 3, it is actually an action item. We would ask the council to adopt the MOU as presented, and both the town of Abingdon and Damascus will. And that we currently have an RFP out there, so we felt like it was important to get this thing done now. So it was all clear, and so by the time the town will be, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we're going to have be in a position, is it the March meeting to select? Okay, so there is an RFP out for engineering services, so we'll have this done at this meeting, and then we will be bringing back, and Mike and staff will be bringing back their recommendation for the March meeting on which engineering firm to use, and the goal is to try to get one engineering firm to do all of the work, and that way it'll just be, instead of breaking it up into multiple projects, we thought it would be best. We talked about this at the infrastructure committee meeting as well, and it would seem like that was the best approach to take. So, All right,
Okay.
I'm
So-
done with that, so.
All right. So
Seeking,
that-
seeking
that's-
approval of the MOU
Okay,
between
so that's 2
Abingdon.
and 3 and 1. So,
So technically, the motion would be to give the town manager the authorization to endorse the MOU.
okay. All right, so we're looking for a motion to give the town manager authorization to endorse the MOU. And, you know, again, to clarify, the purpose of the MOU is just so everybody involved with the Creeper Trail has an understanding of everybody else's responsibilities and wishes and.
Yeah,
just
and
to
this
allow
one
us
just
to do
pertaining
work.
to these creeper trail
Sure.
repairs that we've
Just creeper
identified,
trail repairs.
correct.
Okay. All right.
That are in the area that the town maintains.
Correct.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Well, council, I would entertain a motion to do so.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Vice Mayor Quetch to authorize town manager to endorse this memorandum of understanding. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Owens. Any discussion, council? Hearing none, Kim, if you'll please call the roll.
Mr. Owens?
Aye.
Ms. Gilligan?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
And Mayor Webb?
Aye. That brings us to wastewater operations report. Woodard and Curran. Welcome. Come on, gentlemen.
Before I introduce these two gentlemen who are gonna go through a few slides, as somebody who has used your pickleball courts, great investment, it's a blast, and the night I was out there, it was absolutely packed.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely a very, very popular sport right now.
I hope you use those rackets.
Yeah.
My name is Mike Greenberg, I'm with Woodard and Curran. We assumed operations of your wastewater treatment plant collection system on January 1st of this year. And I wanted to introduce Ryan Sullivan. Ryan is our area manager. He oversees this project. And our on-site project manager is Chris Pritt. So Chris is responsible for the day-to-day at the treatment plant collection system, managing the staff. He reports to you guys. So with that.
Mayor, members of the council, I want to thank you for having us here tonight to give you an update. As Mike said, we took over operations of the treatment plant on the 1st of the year. We have a couple slides to go through just to give you an idea of what's been going on the last, probably, I guess, the last month and the months leading up to our assumption of operations as a treatment system. Hopefully this works.
Hey, Floyd, advance.
Technical difficulty. Is there another? That's what he said to press, right? So, oh, there we go.
There we go. Okay.
So, as I said earlier, we signed a contract, an agreement with the township, with the town on September 30th of 2021. The effective date was January 1st, and it's a 5-year term. And it's basically to provide comprehensive operations for the Wolf Creek treatment facility and the associated collection system. I don't have the clicker now. Oh.
Next slide,
Well,
Jimmy.
next slide. So, leading up to January 1st, the town of Abington had anywhere between 18 to 22 people working at the treatment plant and the collection system. We assured everybody who was working there that they would be offered a job with Woodard and Curran starting January 1st. As of the beginning of November, I was brought into the project in mid-October. As of the beginning of November, there were 12 employees left at the sewer plant, all of which were offered positions with Woodard and Curran at a rate of pay higher than what they were making with the town. And we also understood that the benefits that we offer were a little bit more expensive than what they were paying for the township, so we offered a differential to offset the difference in that cost for their benefits plan. So out of the 12 that were offered positions, there were 12 people left at the time, all of them were offered positions. 5 of them accepted. 3 of the guys are in that work on the collection system, I call it outside the fence. one gentleman who was a maintenance mechanic, and one person who was in charge of industrial pretreatment and compliance for the treatment plant. We've got it divided up a little bit. What we didn't have stay was anybody who had operational experience with the treatment plant. So we had basically 0 operators who were operating the system before stay on board with us. Leading up to the first, we brought in various people to both recruit and learn about the treatment plant, what was going on with it. Myself, another area manager who you may know, Dave Dedian, was here, meeting with the employees, interviewing people in the area for positions, one of which was Chris Pritt, who we were able to hire with a start date of the 3rd, which was actually the first working day of the year. January 1st was a Saturday, so we had 2 or 3 people in town for most of December, learning as much as possible from the one operator that was left. There was really only one person operating the plant from right about Thanksgiving through the end of the year, and he definitely deserves accreditation for that effort. Scott Thompson was instrumental in helping us be able to train some people who came in from out of town, and then were able to train people of our own once the contract started. So Scott, I think, worked just about every day, weekends included, from probably right about Thanksgiving right up to the 31st.
He even worked a couple holidays,
yeah,
too.
Holidays.
I want to make sure we recognize
He was there
him.
every day. He was great. Instrumental in helping us to get up to speed, really, on the treatment plant, on the operations. So you could go to the next slide. So start January 1st. We had 9 full-time employees. We were able to hire a couple people. One of us, as I said, which is Chris. We've got 5 to 6 positions open. And of the 5 Abington employees that stayed, 4 of them started right away. One of them only started within the last week or so. So it was really 4 people that were working, ex-employees of the town at the time we took over. On-site support staff since then, we've had senior O&M specialists come in from Georgia and Tennessee, an O&M specialist from Georgia. We had an operator who's there right now from Florida, lead maintenance mechanic from Florida, facility manager. We had operators come in, and we had our health and safety manager come in and do some training of Abington staff back in November, December, and also came in mid-January to train all the new staff on Woodard and Curran's health and safety protocols and programs that we have in place, and did a full audit of the entire treatment system, and we'll get into some of the details of that. Very brief. We won't take too much of your time, and it's not a very good picture there of the people, but that's, we started out with 4 people, and we've got, I think there's 16 people in that picture and 1 taking the picture. So we brought a lot of resources here to make sure that the transition was as smooth as possible for both Woodard and Curran and for the town. You can go on to the next slide. So a brief list of some of the things that happened in January. We had to do all the reporting for December and for 2021, and again, we had no operators there. We spent a fair amount of time looking through data, looking for information. We were able to get myself and Chris registered with the DEQ as agents to be able to sign monthly reports. We had permit compliance was 100%. We didn't have any violations, which in operations is, probably 75% of your job. The other 20+% is health and safety. As I said earlier, we had a health and safety audit. We did some training of both new and town employees. We started integrating data collection rather than piles of paper and writing down readings every day. We've got a system that's electronic using tablets where operators enter data and it's stored in our database and can be extracted for other various reporting through the state, EPA, and also for reports that we submit to the town on a monthly basis, which is in progress right now for January. We also began implementing an asset management program. We've got a program that we use company-wide that will monitor runtime for different equipment, help in assessing whether it's a replace or repair, We began upgrading the preventive maintenance and predictive maintenance program. We've got a product, a software product that Woodard and Curran uses. We're starting to implement that. We're improving some of the systems related to the collection system. And so far, the staff who have stayed on with us that were town employees seem to be pretty pleased and doing very well, to be honest with you. They've all been doing very well. Go to the next slide. So a couple of things with maintenance. Again, we had a lot of people in town from outside helping with this stuff. But there's a disc filter. That's some pictures of what it looks like. The UV units are very important. They're the final polishing step in the process, and they disinfect the water that goes out into the creek. We did a lot of maintenance on those. There's a pump in that picture there. We rebuilt the pump and put some new bearings on it. Or actually, it was a blower that's in that picture, I'm sorry. There was an underground water leak of clean water that we excavated and fixed the line there. You can see the picture of the patch on the pipe that was excavated and repaired. Various housekeeping around the treatment plant, and we replaced some heaters in a couple of the buildings. So not your typical month. It's probably a little bit heavier than usual, but we wanted to make sure some of these key things were addressed. As the staff decreased over the last quarter of last year, we wanted to make sure that we kept on top of these things. You go on to the next slide, please. Collection system. Went around to all the 6 pump stations around town, evaluated their electrical panels. There's some blockages that were cleared, some manholes that were cleaned. We installed health and safety signage in all the locations. That was part of our health and safety audit. That you could see that danger confined space sign. There's, I don't know how many of those we put up around the treatment plant, different signage to satisfy the health and safety audit. And we've also been providing, our engineering group is providing overflow. I&I stands for infiltration and inflow. It's other water streams that come into a sanitary wastewater collection system that aren't sanitary wastewater that could put an increased burden on treatment capacity that you really don't want to have. So we're working with the town also on addressing some of those issues and providing some additional consulting service there. Next panel, next slide, please. So going forward, we really need to hire and train new staff. We've got interviews set up with some people this week to come in various roles, administrative assistant, operators. So we're trying to find local people. We do have, I believe, one of our staff lives in town. We're going to continue to integrate the data collection and management system. We're going to continue to update the asset management program. SCADA, that's the computers and the various components that are used to operate the treatment plant. Those things will be upgraded and brought into Woodard and Curran's way of doing it. Some fund reallocation, some preventive maintenance system implementation. We're helping with the capital improvement plan, working with the town on some of the things that involve wastewater in that plan. As I said, I&I reduction support, and we're trying to optimize some of the issues that we have with the collection system, where we're having some overflows and some various waste streams coming into it. So we could go to the next slide. So what are our goals long term? Establish a long-standing partnership with the town. I've only been with Woodard and Curran for a short time, but I was with a contract operations company for about 24 years, and I had customers, clients that were there for a few years when I joined that company and are still there. So establishing long-term relationships and providing exceptional value. That's really what we want to do. Provide value to the town. Efficient operations of the wastewater plant. It's a really nice treatment plant. Beautiful town. It's not a surprise that the plant is so nice, but it's really something that we want to be efficient with, and 100% permit compliance is always the goal. Operations, we've got a discharge permit to the creek with the DEQ. That's of utmost importance to make sure we maintain that, and there's sampling that has to be done every day of the year, from holidays, weekends, and thankfully we were on top of it. We didn't miss any of those in January as we transitioned and had some holiday time there. So provide transparency, accessibility to the town, administrative staff. I can give you all my business cards, and Chris is at the site every day. I've been down here probably 50% or so since October, after we signed the contract. So if you ever need to get in touch with one of us, by all means, feel free to reach out. And of course, in any business, hiring, training, and supporting and retaining good people is what we do. So it's certainly not an easy time. It's never easy to find good people, but it seems to be a little bit tougher these days with some of the things going on with COVID and recovering from that. But we'll be good. We're good. And if you guys had any questions, I'd be more than happy to talk. But I appreciate the time, and we appreciate working with the town, and look forward to a long-standing relationship with you guys.
Real quickly, if I can add one thing. So Steve's been here twice, and he's coming next week.
Yes.
So our health and safety coordinator will be here next week, so that'll be the third time that he's been to the town. One thing that we like to offer, and you know, Chris, you and I can discuss this later, is Steve does a lot of training, and when he's in for a short period, it's a little bit tougher, but if he's going to be in Abingdon for a longer period, he's open to doing some training for other staff within the
And we
town.
did, we actually did that the first time he came in.
Okay.
We
Yeah,
had
I
a
think there was
few.
a couple for the CPR first
Yeah,
aid.
in fact, I had one employee commented to me that it was the best safety training they had ever been through.
Great, great.
Good.
Yeah, and we got some certificates, I think, for some of those employees. Yeah.
Yeah, if
But
there's
yeah,
any other
please let us
departments that are
know.
interested, I think next week, I know it's gonna be confined space, and I believe qualified electrical workers. And there may be others. I know of those too, so we can let you guys know if there's any, Jimmy, if there's any other departments that wanna participate, by all means.
Well, yeah, what I would do is, I would just get hold of John East and
Okay.
just let John East know when you guys are gonna be doing that, and then she can send out a communication to the department heads. If it's appropriate,
Sure.
Confined space, I guess, could be a more public works thing, but it might not be good for town hall staff, but unless, we do have some employees in some small offices,
Yeah.
but they seem to be pretty
Depends what your
productive.
scope of work is, right?
But I did want to say that, you know, Chris is from the area.
Yeah.
He's from Russell County, and he was, well, why don't you just tell a little bit about yourself, and then, I don't have to give your bio.
I am new to Woodard and Kern, but I'm not new to the area. I lived in Russell County for a number of years, and I have ties to Abingdon. I have a educated environmental science. I also have a bachelor's degree in organizational development, which was geared toward municipal management. My priority is to provide a productive, proactive, and efficient working system for Wolf Creek and for the collection system that protects the town's asset for not only now but down the road for a number of years. And always feel free to reach out to me. If you have any questions, concerns, need anything, I'm here. So any questions, just feel free to reach out anytime.
Chris, I can tell you're local from my same hillbilly accent. I can tell you're from here,
Yeah.
unlike the other two, but that's okay.
You're gonna find it hard to believe I'm not from Virginia.
If you hang around long enough, you'll pick it
Around here,
up.
but they're okay.
If you hang around long enough, you'll pick it up.
Yeah, that's what I hear. That's what I hear.
Well, and he has a daughter that goes to UT. This
Yeah.
was actually worked out good for him. So.
I do, yes.
But thank you for the reports and the updates.
Yes.
This is an error by me, and I made comment to Michael about this picture here, and to me, it was a visual perception that I didn't misinterpret. Where you all fixed the water leak, the pipe?
Yeah.
To me, I interpreted that brown section as the sewage coming out of that pipe.
No,
But
no,
that's the old
that's-
pipe that's been connected
No,
to
That's
it.
just an iron pipe.
Clean when we present them.
So I noticed you were looking at me like, no, but I'm like, that doesn't look right.
It didn't dawn on me what you were talking about to us up here looking at it right here. But that's an iron pipe, just how it
Right.
rusts and corrodes.
I see that now
Yes.
whenever you said it was a water.
And I do want to give a shout out to the employees that remained in Abingdon and that transitioned to Woodard and Kern. You know, there was a lot of uncertainties. We all know that, but the ones that stayed are going to be successful, and they just have the right attitude, and they have I just think performed very well. And I just, kudos to them. They wanted to continue the career in wastewater, and I think they were great hires. So, and then we're continuing to see their contribution to the town.
Thank you, gentlemen,
Thank you.
for coming out.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate the time.
All right, that brings us to the town manager report. Mr. Moran?
Mayor, before I give my report, I wanted to call up Chief Holbrook. He wanted to give an update on Valley Street, so I just wanted to ask him to come up.
Mayor, members of council, I just wanted to kind of put it out in the public a little bit about Valley Street. If you all noticed, we put a Facebook post up about doing extra speed enforcement on Valley Street based on the complaints and some of the data we gathered. And we posted a sign with the enhanced speed penalty sign below it. That's, as you all know, is not a new thing. It's been there for quite some time. We're just kind of highlighting again in hopes that we get some information out there and get some notification out there that people will actually slow down. So I just wanted to come up and say we're going to continue this heavy enforcement, heavy visibility through the month of February, in hopes that we make a little bit of difference and then no more overall speeding on Valley Street. Just random stuff though, that post got 5,628 engagements. So apparently people like it when we tell them before we run radar instead of just sitting there running radar.
They were sharing it with all their friends, so they knew what was going on.
It's, the police will be enforcing the speed limit.
Well, what's interesting, because I did actually look at that post and read some of those comments, and it was about 50-50. A lot of the people were saying, "Oh man, we don't want an extra fine," but a lot of them were saying, "Hey, this is your warning. It's been a problem for a long time, so kudos."
Right, and then we got several suggestions on other streets to do this after that. So, also wanted to take a quick moment to thank Mr. Morani and his continuous support of their police department. For me coming in as a new chief during a difficult time, it was tough to retain and recruit new officers, but with your all support, with Mr. Morani's support, it's helped me really succeed so far. So thank you, Mr. Morani, for all that you've done. You will be missed at the police department. Thank you all.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay, I'll go ahead and. I just wanted to say a few words. This is my last regular meeting. I came to Abingdon in May 2019, hired by a town council who desired to bring in a town manager to move projects forward and take a fresh look at town operations, making improvements where necessary. Shortly after settling in, I started to realize the task that lied ahead of me. While we had many outstanding employees, some of whom are still here today, the organization was unstructured, stagnant, and suffered from a silo mentality. There was a lack of communication and collaboration amongst departments. This fact was known by town council at the time, and it was specifically identified as a challenge that was to be addressed by the new town manager. Town council wanted a change agent. Several months into my tenure, I started to learn more about how the organization operated. I inherited an organizational structure that was too decentralized, which had 15 direct reports to the town manager. This was a contributing factor to the lack of communication and collaboration. I also discovered inefficiencies, some waste, and misuse of taxpayer resources. Placed in position which they were unable to succeed through no fault of their own. In late 2019, I started to implement much-needed organizational changes by starting the first phase of restructuring, which included the consolidation of several departments. Yes, there was resistance. I was making people uncomfortable. And I was holding people accountable. This is something many employees were not accustomed to. But at the same time, it was also welcomed by many employees, including several department heads. It was at that time when I started to identify who was buying into the cultural change. These employees encouraged me and reinforced to others in the organization that we were headed in the right direction. When the pandemic hit in March 2020, the town experienced major losses in revenue in meals and lodging taxes. Unfortunately, this forced the town to implement layoffs in the recreation and tourism departments. While this was an unpopular decision, it did provide an opportunity to hit reset and continue reshaping the organization to operate more efficiently, providing more value to Abingdon taxpayers. In the summer of 2021, the town started the process of considering contract operations for the wastewater department. This was not a novel idea. Wastewater contract operators have a presence throughout Southwest Virginia, including right next door in Bristol. In September 2021, Town Council authorized an agreement with Woodard & Kern to operate the wastewater department effective January 1st, 2022. During the transition period, all town employees in the wastewater department were offered positions with Woodard & Kern at or above their current level of compensation. Employees who transitioned to the new company were given retention bonuses. Those who chose to stay are making meaningful contributions working for a company that is already providing great value to the town. I can state with confidence that our organization is more productive, efficient, and professional than when I arrived in May 2019. But I cannot take all the credit for this. This has been a team effort. Much of the credit goes to the employees who have embraced the new culture and display a continual desire to improve the organization. That's all I have.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Jim. Well said. That brings us to council member reports. And council, I'd like to give everybody the opportunity tonight to give a report if they'd like. Anybody want to chime in or stop?
I'll go first. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Mr. Morani for his hard work with our town. I wish him well in every future endeavor, and I wish the best for him, his wife, and his lovely children. I have enjoyed working with Jimmy. He has been kind to me. There have been many areas where we found agreement on things, and some areas where we did not see eye to eye. At times I've been a pest to him, but only when I felt I must speak up in the interest of the town. In those areas of disagreement, he has heard my side of an issue and respected my point of view. I have found him to be of high moral character and to have the best interest of the town at heart when making decisions and seeking approval from council. I think Jimmy is a smart man with big ideas and the courage to follow through on them in an ethical way. Yes, it is true that he has faced adversity. Jimmy has had to deal with personnel matters. Every manager does. But I'll just say they were usually of the you can't make this stuff up variety. Abingdon has some very fine employees, and I am proud of so many of them. Jimmy explored and pursued the contract management of our wastewater treatment facility with support from council and was very transparent about the idea from beginning to end. For many reasons, I support the ultimate decision to contract out the operations of this very important town asset. The decision received a unanimous vote from council. I continue to believe this decision will pay dividends to our citizens for years to come. I did my homework on this matter, as did the rest of council. I am confident it will be accepted as a good move as time goes on. Jimmy displayed professionalism and strong decision-making in the face of a global pandemic that threatened the financial stability of our town and every entity, public and private, across our nation. Through it, he helped the town maintain its already solid credit rating. Some other notable accomplishments would include management of the sports complex construction, which is soon to be finished, a complete update of the town's comprehensive and capital improvement plans, updates to the sign codes, pickleball courts, we heard about them tonight, at the Coombs Center, Barter pedestrian crosswalk improvements, Virginia Creeper Trail Trestle study, Fields Penthouse restoration, meaningful contributions to public safety by investing in our police department, Main Street flooding mitigation, meaningful process made there. The public can learn more, which I took a whole list off of council reports. I just noted a few of them. learn for themselves by reading his town manager reports, which are published online on the town's website. Also, Jimmy leaves behind some very strong department heads that he put in place and some very notable new hires. While it is true we are short-staffed in some areas, this is the case in every workplace across America. The town has wonderful employees. The town is a great place to work. The pay is good and the benefits are excellent. I encourage anyone seeking meaningful employment to explore the opportunity our town has. Jimmy, I thank you for being a friend to me and for helping me be the leader I want to be for the town that I love. And I hope you'll remember me as a friend.
Thank you, Donna. That's beautiful. Mike, Amanda?
I do have some things that I would like to say. First of all, thank you, Donna. It is consistently my pleasure to serve with the other members of this town council. The mutual respect, even when we disagree, the ability to call each other at any time and discuss issues, and work through problems together as a team, when we sit up here and in closed session is very meaningful to me. Mr. Moraney has fostered that environment. He has helped us be leaders. He has helped us understand some complicated issues. And I consider him a valuable member of this team, as I do the town employee and all of town staff. So I am very, very grateful for the positive, respectful environment that I have the privilege to serve in. I like to end things on a positive note. And so I would like to say that I feel like that we have achieved some wonderful things with Mr. Moraney as town manager. The sports complex is a project that had languished for years and years and years, and it was time to get moving and get it finished, and that's going to happen very soon, and I am so very excited about that as a member of this community and as a parent. We've had great participation with the police department, the partnership with SciTech and the new radios, the flood mitigation study. I mean, when I ran for town council, I heard about flooding and the sports complex, and those are two things that we're taking care of. We have so many great new hires. The Fields Penthouse is going to be spectacular. We had this amazing grant, the CDBG grant with Faith in Action, in which we were able to provide meals needed to so many people. And I went one day and helped hand out those meals, and it was a huge blessing. So that was also a wonderful
Tanya gets a lot of credit for that.
Yeah,
too.
but you helped
but
her.
we supported it every step of the way.
Listen, when I asked Tanya about it, she said it came to her in bed one night during COVID. How can I help people? Yeah. So, I mean, this is just an example of the people who we have representing all of you. And then, you know, the guidance with the ARPA funds. I feel like we were able to really hash that out and to use those funds in a meaningful way that are going to benefit everybody. And there are some tough decisions to be made, particularly during the pandemic. And I feel like I'm very proud that the town has come out of that swinging. Our meals and lodging taxes are up. We came out of that just fine. And so many of our businesses just showed their best. And I'm so very proud of them. And I'm proud to be a member of the community in Abingdon. Technically, we are not supposed to address, public comments during public comments. I would like to say that I have heard what everybody is saying about the banner pole. I understand that there are organizations who are frustrated. I have served on many boards and committees and civic organizations and school organizations and PTAs that have all utilized that service. I don't know what the answer is. We no longer own the property that the banner pole was on, so it is not as simple as making a motion to reinstate a banner pole. I don't know if there is a solution. I appreciate everyone's time to come and express their frustration. So, I don't know what the path is forward, but I just want all of the people who are paying attention to the meeting tonight to understand that we don't own that piece of property anymore, so we can't put a pole there right now. But thank you, everybody who came and spoke tonight, and thank you for all of the people who have stuck it out and listened to the entire meeting. And thank you to Mr. Moraney. We wish you the very best in your future endeavors.
Thank you, man. Mike?
I just want to echo
what Donna and Amanda has said. I could repeat everything they said, and I agree with all of that. But this is more of a personal note from me to you, is that when I started this position 2 years ago, I thought I had a good idea about how the town and the government worked. As it turns out, I was pretty naive. I did not. Okay. But I wanted to thank you for being very patient with me and all my questions. You and your staff have taught me so much and enriched my experience on town council, so thank you. And thank you for your service for the citizens of Abingdon.
Thank you.
I guess that means I get to be last but not least. And again, I think we all have sort of said the same things, and I can certainly name off project after project after project. But one that sticks out in my mind, Jimmy, is not a lot of people realize this, and I won't get too deep in the weeds, but when I came on council 4 years ago, we had this fantastic idea for this sports complex, and then people have been working on it for years and years and years, and I appreciate all those people. But I don't think the general public realized that there wasn't even a budget for the sports complex 4 years ago. I don't think people realized that nobody had ever taken the time to sit down with the numbers and say, this is what we have, this is what we don't have, this is what we've spent, this is what we're going to spend. And I have to say, Jimmy, you've done a great job leading us through that project. That is a huge capital project. And you did it flawlessly. You gave us guidance the entire time through, good advice. The timing worked out fantastic. My only regret is that you're not going to be here necessarily as the manager to see this project come to fruition and the grand opening, but I hope you will come if you're here. But I get this all the time, but people say when they figure out I'm the mayor, they say, man, what a time to be the mayor, during a pandemic. What were you thinking? so I would say the same thing to you, Jimmy. Man, what a time to be a town manager during a pandemic. Not that you had a choice. But again, I don't think, on a serious note, I don't think the general public realizes how difficult it is to make those decisions. And again, you led us through the budget during a pandemic when many people would have just hid and tried to avoid the realities that we were facing. So, as the rest of the council has said, we've come out this thing on the other side, and we're very appreciative for all that you've done for the town. I have no doubt that you always made decisions with the town's best interest, and I do appreciate your friendship, and thank you for your service.
Thank you. I do want to point out that, the sports complex, and I know it's because I'm leaving, but I want you to know that we have a tremendous team, from Mike Surratt, Tyler, and, John Dew when he was here. It was a team effort. Obviously, there were times where they came to me and said, oh, Jimmy, we got this problem. What are we going to do? and I was like, okay, let's just think about it. Let's talk about what we need to do to make these, to make this happen. So they were down in the minutia. Okay, we solved the duck problem, or the geese problem, okay? We solved the geese. Mike Surratt, or somebody called me one day, I can't remember who it was, if it was Tyler. And he says, I think we solved it. We got a coyote out there. And we got a decoy, and boy, I'll be darned if that thing didn't work like a charm. And I just made sure that we keep it because I think we paid for it technically through the contract. The only time I ever signed a change order with a coyote decoy in there. But I will say, I had something I was going to say. I don't remember. Shoot.
We made it.
Anyway, so we made it. My one of my greatest, it's not really an accomplishment, but something I'm extremely proud of. I was the first customer at the Pals. and I worked really hard on that. Now that, I can't take all the credit for that because I got a tip from a former chief of police who told me when they were going to raise the flag, and I beelined it out there. And they remembered me for several months after, and that I was the first customer. And after the meeting that we had on Monday, and I announced my resignation, I went to Pal's to get a big pound and a Frenchie fry. I did not have the shake because I have lost some weight, and I didn't want to overdo it. But it was a very enjoyable meal after the meeting. Thank you. I try to bring humor to situations when I can.
Well, thank you for that, Jimmy. Thank you for that. So that brings us to the closed sessions. And as we alluded to earlier, we have quite a few items that we're going to discuss in closed session, so it may be more than just a few minutes of discussion. At this time, I would entertain a motion to go into closed session.
I'll make that motion to go into closed session to discuss, for discussion of assignment, appointment of an interim town manager pursuant of Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A1. Discussion of assignment, appointment of a town manager pursuant of Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A1. Discussion of salaries of council appointees pursuant of Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A1. Discussion or consideration of acquisition of real property for the public purpose, for a public purpose where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A3. Discussion or consideration of disposition of publicly held real property where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body pursuant of Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A3, and discussion of appointments of boards and committees pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A1.
All right, Kim, I'm not going to recite that, but the motion by Mr. Owens to go into closed session for various reasons. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Pillion. Any discussion, council? Kim, if you'll please call the roll.
Mr. Owens?
Aye.
Ms. Billion?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
And Ms.
Aye. So we'll be out in a couple of
every day.
Can you take these to keep,
Jimmy loves it.
My mom is, that has like been her saving grace.
for the coons?
Well, I think it's awesome.
What's
your bag?
Put them in a special bag.
Well, she was just wondering. She was just wondering,
Michael.
like, what do I do with my
What are you
life?
doing?
You know what I mean?
Well, good for you.
My life,
You're getting a good civics lesson. This is
you
good.
know? And,
Do you know it's 9 o'clock?
I know, I just texted George and said, get ready for bed.
All right. Now that we're back from closed session, I would entertain a motion to reconvene.
I move that we reconvene in open session.
Motion by Mr. Owens to, Dr. Owens to reconvene in open session. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Quetch. Any discussion, council? Hearing none, Kim, if you'll please call the roll.
Mr. Owens?
Aye.
Ms. Billion?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
And Mayor Webb?
Aye. And now we need to certify.
I move that the town council certify that in closed session just concluded, nothing was discussed except the matters specifically identified in the motion to convene in closed session and lawfully permitted to be discussed under the provisions of Virginia Freedom of Information Act cited in the motion.
Mr. Owens, do you so certify?
I so certify.
Ms. Billion?
I so certify.
Ms. Quetch?
I so certify.
And Mayor Webb?
I so certify. So we have one matter that we need to take action on.
Two matters.
Two.
Well, one specifically that I can't be involved with.
Yes.
So, and before we take any kind of action, I would like to remind everybody that I am employed by KVAC, make more than $5,000 a year, and therefore will have to abstain from any kind of discussion and/or motion that we would likely make. But I will open the floor to make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize the town manager to enter into a lease agreement with KVAC Food Stores Incorporated for Building A and Building C at the sports complex, to lease Building A and Building C at the sports complex for concessions.
Motion by Mr. Owens, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Quetch. Any discussion, council? Hearing none, Kim, if you'll please call the roll.
Mr. Owens?
Aye.
Ms. Billion?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
And Mayor Webb?
Abstain. And we do have some appointments to boards and committees that we'd like to make tonight. First up is the Abingdon Redevelopment of Housing Authority. We have a reappointment of Dorothea Frazier, who is eligible to serve an additional term. I would entertain a motion to do so.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Vice Mayor Quetch to reappoint Dorothea Frazier to the Abingdon Redevelopment and Housing Authority. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Good. Any discussion, council? Hearing none, Kim, if you'll please call the roll.
Mr. Owens?
Aye.
Ms. Billion?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
And Mayor Webb?
Aye. Next up, we have the Sinking Spring Cemetery Committee, an appointment to fill the vacancy for funeral home representative. I would open the floor for an appointment of such kind.
I'll make the motion that we appoint Kimberly Ferris Luke.
A motion by Vice Mayor Quetch to appoint Kimberly Luke Ferris.
I'm sorry.
Did I mess that up, or did?
No, I had it right.
Good. Kimberly
Should-
Ferris Luke.
Yeah.
To fill the vacancy for funeral home representative on the Sinking Spring Cemetery Committee. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Owens. Any discussion, council? Hearing none. Kim, if you'll please call the roll.
Mr. Owens?
Aye.
Ms. Billion?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
And Mayor Webb?
Aye. Now we have the Abingdon's Art Commission we're all very excited about. We have a couple of different appointments to make on that commission. We have an appointment to fill the vacancy for one ex officio council member. Do we want to do these all at one time, Cam?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We also have an appointment by the town manager.
Distinguished term.
Yeah.
I think so. Can she appoint herself?
No, we're not gonna do that one, are they?
Yeah, we're,
Yeah.
X
Just
that one.
the last two,
We're
Mayor.
going to table that one. We have an appointment to fill 3 vacancies to serve from the date of appointment until June 30th, 2023. And we have an appointment to fill 2 vacancies to serve from the date of appointment until June 30th, 2024. So if you'll just specify when we're making that a motion, I would open the floor to make those appointments.
Okay. I would like to move to appoint for the term expiring 2024, Greg Lilly and Summer Apostol. And for the term expiring 2023, Matthew Frederick, Dirk Moore, and Ben Jennings.
All
To
right.
the Abingdon Arts Commission.
Got a motion by Ms. Pillion to appoint Greg Lilly and Summer Apostol to the 2 vacancies to serve until June 30th, 2024. And then I lost you on the June 30th, 2023. There were 3 of them, though.
Matthew Frederick, Dirk Moore, Ben
All right.
Jennings.
Matthew Frederick, Dirk Moore, and Ben Jennings to the 3 vacancies to serve until June 30th, 2023. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Quetch. Any discussion, council? Hearing none, Kim, if you'll please call the roll.
Mr. Owens?
Aye.
Ms. Pillion?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
And Mayor Webb?
Aye. And now we have to appoint a council member to fill the vacancy. Any,
You gotta make the
I
motion,
make a
Donna.
motion. It's been a long
I think
night.
we've got a motion by Vice Mayor Quetch
Yes,
to appoint
Amanda
Amanda Pillion,
Pillion.
right?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, excellent. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Owens. Any discussion, council? Hearing none, Kim, if you'll please call the roll.
Mr. Owens?
Aye.
Ms. Pillion?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
And Mayor Webb?
Aye. So unless I've missed something, I think we're done for the night. We're adjourned.
Thank you. Thank you all.
That's it.
Thank
We
you.
made it.